Hello, I am Shayla Pope. I am a fine art printmaker and I am based in Ottawa, Ontario. My art practice focuses mostly on the Arctic, the North, and on climate change. This is my print studio. It is centered around my very large hydraulic press, which allows me to make both large images and smaller. I use a variety of rollers to transfer the ink from the inking table to the plate. And once it's on the plate, I put the plate on the press, the paper on the plate, and run it all through the press to make the print. Things generally start here at my work table. I sketch, I mock up prints, I carve the plates, I review the prints as they come off the press to see if I'm achieving what I want. Paper and prints get stored in these large flat plan drawers, and then up above I have drying racks that I use to hang the prints as they come off the press so the ink can dry. Printmaking can be simple. Many of us made potato prints, potato stamps when we were kids, maybe in kindergarten. But it also can be complex, complicated. There's a wide range of mark making. It can be very expressive. And I'm going to talk to you today about a more complicated print. Today, I want to walk you through the steps I took to make this large, multi-layered, multi-process print about caribou in the Arctic. It is called On the Move. The print is 30 inches wide and 22 inches high. Each print went through the press 6 or 7 times to apply all the colors in detail. Although we usually associate the Arctic with the frigid whites of snow and ice, the tundra can be spectacularly colored in the short, warmer seasons, particularly in the fall. It is this less expected or more unusual view of the Arctic that I wanted to capture in the print. Some species have evolved to live in the Arctic very successfully despite the extreme harshness of the environment. Barren ground caribou are one such animal. They have the longest land-based migration of any animal on the planet. Some herds may travel more than 1,000 kilometers between their winter and summer habitats. The species is fundamentally important to Indigenous people in the North and figures on the Canadian Quarter. Caribou have fascinated me for a long time. This is a small print I made a few years ago. On the Move started, as many of my prints do, with a sketch, in this case done in pencil crayon. I used the sketch to start figuring out how few colors, layered one over the other, I needed to convey the fall splendor of the tundra. I usually plan out the whole print before I start to make it. I'll take notes, sketches, comments about what colors, what kind of printmaking I'm doing, what kind of paper. It's as important to talk about or to make notes about what I'm not going to do. No change, no printing, fourth layer, not printing the sky, as it is to talk about what colors I'm going to use for different parts of the print. And as I go along and I'm actually doing the work, things happen and I need to change or adjust my plans. As a printmaker, you have to be open to opportunity, but having a frame that I established at the beginning helps me know when an opportunity is for the better or when I need to sit down and think it through again. Once I have the sketch, I transfer it, trace it onto linoleum flooring. The linoleum is a substrate or the plate that will take the ink that will be transferred with the press to the paper to make the print. When the image is drawn onto the plate, I then start carving. And I carve away to create the first layer of the image that I'm working on. In this case, I'm showing you the sky. When I've got everything carved away that I don't want to print, I roll ink across the plate and everything that is left will take the ink, and that will be transferred by putting a sheet of paper on top of it and putting the whole thing through the press. This kind of printmaking is called a lino cut. I cut the linoleum plate into two pieces, one for the sky and one for the ground. This way I was able to ink the sky in blue and the ground in yellow. I put the plates back together in the jig to print the two colors in one pass. This sped up the printmaking process. The two pieces fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. This was the first layer of ink on the prints hung up to dry. Because this was such a complicated print, I started with 12 sheets of paper with the expectation that not all the prints would work out. Next, I added gray shadows for the clouds and red for the bright fall foliage. This was done by cutting away linoleum anywhere on the sky where I wanted the blue to show through, and anywhere on the ground where I wanted the pure yellow to be seen. This process is called reduction printing. You cannot go backwards as the linoleum plate is changed between each print layer. This shows the detail after I've added green and gold ink to the foreground. The grasses are starting to show up, but they need more definition. And with each layer of ink, the drying time is increased. And here are the grasses with the brown added on. Barren ground caribou are quite delicate looking creatures, all graceful antlers and dainty feet. So I decided to use a different printmaking process to apply them to each print. I scratched the outline of the caribou into plexiglass and applied ink into the fine lines of the scratch marks. This is called dry point printmaking. This was a test print to make sure the process was giving me the image that I wanted. And here is the final print with the caribou applied underneath the landscape. So, if you're interested in the process of printmaking or in my prints, check out my website or contact me. I hope you enjoyed Culture Days 2022. Take care.